Hi, it's Jack, and this is the podcast version of this episode. If you want to read the words as they're being analysed, then if you're on Spotify, you can become a subscriber of this channel or head over to the YouTube channel. And on both platforms, you can also sign up to get exclusive episodes and early access to the regular weekly episodes too. The police accuse Richard Allen of the Delphi murders. He tells his wife, "I didn't do it." But when you listen in on their conversation, is it that simple? Does she believe him? And should we?
They seen me out there, dear. And I told them.
Were you on the bridge?
I told them I was on the bridge. I went out to the first trestle.
Oh, okay.
That first
I
thing.
don't remember you telling me that.
Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If you're new to this, what I do here is different from anywhere else because I strip away everything apart from the words that are said by the person at the heart of the story. And then I use my process of statement investigation to giving you the key to seeing where the truth lies, where deception could be happening, and also the motivations of the person talking as well. It's a process that I use with investigators, corporate clients, and the media to get a deep understanding of what is being said. And this is back to the Delphi case, and it's something that people have requested for me to look at, which is Richard Allen being interviewed by the police. They're accusing him of the murder of Abby and Libby in Delphi. A hugely shocking moment for the guy, and then they do something that I've never seen anywhere else before, which is the police leave the room, bring his wife in, but they keep recording, and we can listen in on that recording to look at the words and see what is being said. I want to look at their relationship. I want to see how Richard and his wife Kathy interact. And also, there's a lot of questions about this case, so I want to see if anything he says reveals whether he is guilty or not guilty of that. Now, look, I know there's a stack of evidence in this case. I know also there's many theories, there's lots of conspiracies, but I'm not here to look at those. I'm only going to look at Richard Allen's words and how his wife reacts to them as well. There's something I want to keep an eye on when we go through this, which is denials, because he is going to give off very much the vibe here of I am an innocent man, I did not do this. But are his denials reliable? Because see, a perfect denial is when you say I didn't do, and then you give the specifics. Like, I didn't do a cheesecake for my tea last night. It's very specific. I've got what I didn't do, make a cheesecake. When? For my tea last night. That's a perfect denial. It's got plenty of content inside it. Less reliable denials are things like, I didn't do it, or it wasn't me. So keep an eye out for those as we go through this. Also, see if you can spot what Richard talks about time and time again, the things he brings up often, because that will reveal what Richard Allen's priorities are while he's here, being interviewed by the police, being accused of a horrible, horrible, horrible crime. Let's get into that police room and listen to Richard Allen talking to his wife.
Hey, baby. Tanya. It's all right, babe. It's gonna be all right. They're trying to tell me that you actually believe that I did it. And I just can't believe that.
Trying to figure out why there's a bullet out there, dude.
I know. Do you think I'm not? And that's what I told them. I can't explain something I don't understand. I tried to explain to them that there's no way that a bullet from my gun was at a murder scene because it didn't happen. I didn't even have my gun that day I went out. You know me. You know this isn't something I could do. And I know that you know that. You don't have to tell me that, I know.
So this is the very first interaction when Kathy walks into the room, and the first thing he says is a greeting, a salutation. Hey, baby, how you been? And he doesn't get, well, I was going to say he doesn't get much back from her. He doesn't seem to get anything back from her, certainly in terms of words at all. This is obviously a shock. This is a traumatic event for the pair of them. So he continues to try and get something out of her. It's all right, babe. It's going to be all right. And then once he's reassured her, said hello to her and reassured her, I believe he goes on to what is the most important thing for him, because it's the first thing beyond these greetings that he says, which is, they're trying to tell me that you actually believe that I did it. And I think this is his priority all the way through. That is not so much wanting to prove his innocence, not so much wanting to say, I didn't do this and we've got to get me out from under this. It's finding out where his wife sits with all this. They're trying to tell me that you actually believe that I did it. Now, he doesn't ever make this a question. He just says it as a statement. They're trying to tell me that you actually believe that I did it. I just can't believe that. He's making statements and he's looking for a reaction to those statements. That suggests to me there's something unbalanced about their relationship here, or at this time, because he's not asking a question of, you know, I didn't do it, right? You know, and putting a question mark after it. He's in statement form here and trying to get something back. He says, I just can't believe that. If you're a regular here, you will know that that word just makes me go ping. Look out for deception. As I always say, when someone says just, it doesn't prove they're lying. It doesn't prove you're being told a lie. But when someone says just, be alert for deception happening. What I think going on here is he says, I just can't believe that. And really, he's just trying to state it in a really basic form. Look, it's just this. I just can't believe that. He wants the reassurance back. It's not just, I don't believe that. But I don't believe that. I want to hear from you that you believe that I didn't do this, that you are on my side here, that you're not turning against me. I think that's what's important to him, and what the priority is with him. The priority for him is what she believes. He wants to find out what she believes. But you'll notice the care there at the very beginning is all one way. It's from him, the accused, on her. There's no care from her expressed at the beginning towards him whatsoever. Let's see if that changes as we go. Finally, Kathy talks and she says, I'm trying to figure out why there's a bullet out there, which is interesting. She seems to be from there believing that there is this bullet out there. She's not saying, I'm trying to figure out why they're saying that, or they're accusing you of leaving a bullet out there. So there's some doubt about what it is. She seems quite certain in her belief, actually, that there is a bullet out there. I'm trying to figure out why there's a bullet out there. You'll notice she doesn't respond to what he said. So he was like, well, let's just go and check the words. They're trying to tell me that you actually believe that I did it. I just can't believe that. She doesn't respond to what he says there. She doesn't say, I believe you're innocent, or even, I believe you did it. She doesn't say anything of that. She doesn't respond to what he says at all. Instead, I think she leads with her priority, which is, I'm trying to figure out why there's a bullet out there. So she doesn't respond to what he says. And he says, I know, do you think I'm not? And that's what I told them. So again, he seems to be going with the idea that this bullet was out there. He doesn't raise the possibility that this didn't happen, that he's being fitted up, or it can't be his bullet, or they've made a dreadful error, or anything like that. He takes on what she says, which is, there's a bullet out there. And he says, do you think I'm not trying to figure out why that bullet there? That's what I told them earlier. Again, he wants to know her thinking, though. Do you think I'm not? Is a question mark. Is the first question that he's asked. And it's because he wants to find out where she is. His priority is finding out what's going on inside her head. More from him. He says, I can't understand something. I can't explain something I don't understand. I tried to explain to them there's no way that a bullet from my gun was at a murder scene. Interesting choice of words there. It's not him being direct to the accusation, which is that the bullet from the gun was at the murder scene of Abby and Libby, or the murder scene locally, or the murder scene there. It's just in general a murder scene. So he's creating some distance between himself here and what he is accused of. I can't believe, so I tried to explain to them there's no way that a bullet from my gun was at a murder scene, not the murder scene, creating a little bit of distance. He continues, because it didn't happen. I didn't even have my gun that day I went out. So because it didn't happen, again, it's about this concept of it. He's distancing himself because I didn't kill them, because I didn't have a gun on them or anything like that. It is not there explicitly. He's distancing himself, downplaying it. It didn't happen. I didn't even have my gun that day I went out. Now that makes it sound like there is only one day that he went out. He's talking about the specific day that Abby and Libby were killed. I know that, but it's almost as if his entire focus on ever going out is one day that he went out. The only option considered by him is him leaving the bullet that day. It's not entering into his head all the other options that could be there. This is a fit up. Someone has planted this. My bullet may have got there another day. Someone may have got hold of one of my bullets, or it's not my bullet. You know, they've made a dreadful error there. The only option considered by him is he left a bullet there that day. That's the only thing he's thinking about. Then he says, you know me. You know this is something, this isn't something I could do. And I know you know that. And he gets nothing back. He says, you don't have to tell me that. I know. Now, this is controlling language. He is trying to set the mindset for the pair of them, telling her, you know me, you know this isn't something I could do, and not just that, I know, you know that. And he gets nothing back. So he tries to reassure, I don't know, himself or herself, you don't have to tell me that. I know. He really wants to hear. He wants these statements to spike some reaction from her. Hopefully for him, I'm guessing in the, yeah, I know that, honey, or I believe you, babe, or anything like that. But she is not going with that. She is not responding to these statements that he makes about the fact that, you know, I want to know what's in your head if you believe I did this. Now, why would she not respond? Because she's his wife. If she didn't believe it, if she thought this was a fit-up or something dreadful was happening, surely she would be responding in kind and saying, I do know that, I know that. But she's not. So why is she holding back? Because probably she's frightened of what it is that she's thinking, the thoughts that are in her head. I believe when they're having this part of the conversation, she really is not sure in her head that he isn't the person that did that. It's in her head that he was the person that did that, or could have been the person that did that. Now, here, in that first part, it's really obvious. His priority is finding out where his wife's thoughts are. And she doesn't offer any reassurance that her thoughts are kind. Now, Kathy does open up a little bit more. She has questions for him. She is certainly not quite as sure as he'd like her to be, as we'll see as we examine more from Richard Allen talking to his wife in the police station.
They really think I did this. And they want me to believe that I know you know I didn't do this. I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't know what they're trying to do here, but I'm not going to say something that's not true, and I can't explain something that I don't understand. The only way for me to explain it is that I don't know, because I'm saying it's not possible. There's no way that a bullet from my gun ended up at a murder scene. I didn't murder anybody. I didn't help somebody murder anybody. You know, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you. I know you know me. I know you know that I didn't do this. Had anything to do with it. Talk about scheming or something.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know how did a bullet from your gun get out there?
I don't know, honey.
Because they said it came from our gun.
I know that's what they believe me, that's what they're telling me.
But how did it get there?
I don't know.
So here we have him talking some more to her, and she finally starts raising some questions. He says, they really think I did this, and they want me to believe that. I know you know that I didn't do this. I guess that's what I'm saying. So once more, we have this downplaying of what he is accused of. They really think I did this. But this does show a little bit more closeness than if he said that. This seems to indicate that he feels some closeness or some connection to what has happened. I'm not reading anything more into that at this moment, but this talks of the very specific incident, and this is closer than that. And they want me to believe that. I know you know I didn't do this. I guess that's what I'm saying. So once more, he's prodding her, but he's not asking a question. He doesn't feel able, and I think he's probably scared of what the answer would be, of saying, do you think I did this? Or, you know, please tell me you know that I'm innocent. He's telling her what he knows, she knows. I know you know I didn't do this. I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm starting to see some issues in this relationship, dysfunction in this relationship, some control from him in this relationship, and potentially the start of something that I think is manipulation here, telling her what she thinks, basically. I don't know what they're trying to do here, but I'm not going to say something that's not true. And I can't explain something that I don't understand. So once more, he's talking in kind of general terms. He's not talking in very specific terms about what they're accusing him of. He's talking about something. I'm not going to say something that's not true. I can't explain something that I don't understand. Interesting, it enters into his mind that he could lie about this. I'm not going to say something that's not true. So although he's saying, I'm not going to lie, it's entered into his head that lying could be a way out of this. Interesting observation. And I can't explain something that I don't understand. So he's creating some distance here in everything. But also, what he's more focused on is how he explains it, not what happened, not the facts of the matter at all. He is looking for a way to explain it. So we've got this thinking that maybe telling a lie would be a way out, although he says he's not going to do that. And also not what he's looking for is establishing the truth and the facts, but how he explains what has been found. The next thing he says is the only way for me to explain it is I don't know because I'm saying it's not possible. That, again, is a little bit more distance going on here. The only way for me to explain it is that it's not possible would be very direct. It's not possible. Very straightforward, very direct. But to add, I'm saying it's not possible is an element of distance. That is not the same thing as it is not possible. It's only I'm saying that it's not possible. Then he gets a little bit more direct. And he says, there's no way that a bullet from my gun ended up at a murder scene. I didn't murder anybody. I didn't help somebody murder anybody. Now, this is just huge. There is so much to dig out from that one paragraph. There's no way that a bullet from my gun ended up at a murder scene. Now, that's very absolute. No way. No way. That's 100%. But it's a totality. It's an absolute. And when people talk in those totalities and absolutes, they're very rarely true. Let's just examine the logic of it for a moment there. The bullet could have been planted. Someone else could have stolen his gun, used it, put it back. Seems unlikely, but it's a possibility. There are ways, innocent ways, that a bullet from, or innocent for Richard Allen's point of view, that a bullet from his gun could have ended up at that murder scene, or the way there are less innocent ways where he's being fitted up and it's been planted there. So there are ways. There's not no way. So he's being overly convincing here with his language. Watch out for people trying to convince you by using totalities here. But it changes a lot. There's no way a bullet from my gun ended up at a murder scene. So once again, it's not the murder scene, it's a murder scene, just creating a bit of distance because he's not talking about the specific murder scene at all. He's just talking about all murder scenes in the world ever. So he's creating that bit of distance. But then he used the word murder, which is very, very straightforward, direct, and very severe about what happened. Criminals will very, very often downplay what they did. They'll call a murder an attack. They'll call theft taking. They'll call hit a tap. You see it a lot from criminals. And yet he is using one of the strongest words you could use to describe what happened to Abby and Libby. A murder scene. I didn't murder anybody. He says it twice. I didn't help somebody murder anybody 3 times in that one paragraph. He uses that. Look, if we talk about red flags when someone talks, these are green flags. He's not downplaying what happened to Abby and Libby at all. He's calling it murder. And that's a green flag. Still got some red flags from him though, because, you know, this is a very complex set of words. I didn't murder anybody, not those girls or not Abby and Libby. It's I didn't murder anybody. So he's gone into general terms again, just like a murder scene. He's not being specific about this case. When I spoke about denials at the start, the more specific they are, the more believable they are. And this is not specific at all. I didn't murder anybody. I didn't help somebody murder anybody. So we've got that anybody twice. He's not being specific about this. However, and I told you, this one paragraph has so much interesting in it. I didn't help somebody murder anybody. Now, I've looked at Richard Allen's words before. I've looked at some of the evidence that came up in the trial. And often when he is talking about the killing of Abby and Libby, he uses words that suggest that there was more people involved than just one murderer. Here we have, I didn't help somebody murder anybody. Very much what we're looking at here is that the police are accusing him of doing it. They're saying, your bullet was found there, so we believe you did it. Your gun was there, we believe therefore you were there, we believe that you did it. However, it's entered into his head that there was maybe somebody did it and somebody gave some help there. And I find that appears again and again when Richard Allen talks about this murder. The fact that it might not have been one person that did it. I didn't help somebody murder anybody. I'm just going to read that one paragraph again because there is so much in it. There's no way that a bullet from my gun ended up at a murder scene. I didn't murder anybody. I didn't help somebody murder anybody. He continues, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you. I know you know me. I know you know that I didn't do this, had anything to do with it. Talk about scheming or something. So once again, I'm not going to sit here and try and convince you. You are sitting there and not even convincing her. You're telling her what she thinks. I know, you know me. So this is manipulative behavior. Talk about scheming or something. You know that I didn't do this, had anything to do with it. There's another thing of the fact that there could have been more than one person involved in it. So, for example, let's move it to another crime. So let's move it to a bank robbery where someone robs the bank, but someone drives the getaway car. That person who drove the getaway car didn't rob the bank, but they did have something to do with it. So in that phrasing, didn't have anything to do with it, suggests that potentially there was more than one person involved. That potentially there is, an accessory to this crime that he knows about. He says, talk about scheming or something. Priority once more here is on what Kathy believes. She says, yeah, I don't. And then she doesn't finish that thought. She says, I don't know. So maybe she was going to say, I don't know, paused, and then just went, I don't know. How did you, and she was going to ask him a direct question. How did you, whatever, how did a bullet from your gun get out there? And Richard's reply is, I don't know, hon. And now, I very often pull up people who say, I've no idea, because often we do have ideas. As outlandish as they might be, I always say, I have no idea is someone trying too hard to convince you that they don't know anything about this. I don't know, I always say, is a more reliable tell for someone telling the truth. And she asks him, how did a bullet from your gun out there? And he says, I don't know. An indicator that we could be truthful there. Then she says, because they said it came from our gun. Interesting, I've listened to that over and over again because what I was expecting there was your gun. She even calls it earlier. How did a bullet from your gun get out there? But I'm convinced she says our gun. Interesting. Our gun. Maybe they just think they have joint ownership of it. It's a family gun. I don't know, but she does say our gun. He says, I know, believe me, that's what they're telling me. So once more, there's just no opening up to the fact that anything else could have been gone on there. But how did it get there? Once again, he says, I don't know. So that is just a green flag again. And this is what makes this so interesting to me, is I see many, many things I don't like in Richard Allen. I do not see a very specific denial to anything that he's accused of. I see that his mind is closed off as to how that bullet got there, apart from the fact that if that bullet was there, he must have murdered them. But there's those green flags, not downplaying the severity and all this. I don't know. For all he tells her what she knows, he's quite willing to say, I don't know. So here in that first part, the I don't know, and there's no downplaying, green flag material, but she is not sure about his story at all. She knows him very well, I would hope, because she is his wife, has some doubts about how that bullet got there. There's lots more to come from Richard Allen talking, including he talks about the day that he was on the trail when Libby and Abby were murdered, and he talks about being on the bridge as well. Let's hear some more from the guy.
They said there was one in your box above your dresser to match it.
They showed me that picture too. I can't explain it. And I
can't either. They keep asking me and I don't know how to answer that.
You
There's no
answer
way
it.
for me to know.
I understand. Me either. And that's what I'm trying to tell them. You want to keep asking me and I just keep telling you I can't explain it. I don't know how to explain something that isn't possible.
Yeah.
But I know, this is what I do know. I know that no bullet from my gun was connected with a murder in any way, shape, or form. And there's no way a bullet from my gun would have been near Abby and Libby's murder or anything else, because I never even seen those girls. Period. And I didn't even have my gun that day. So that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to make that any clearer. I don't know how to make that any clearer. I don't know how to make somebody understand. I get what he's saying. I don't have a way to explain it.
So he's talking now in much more detail about the day that the girls were murdered. Kathy again makes a statement, and he replies to the statement, unlike Kathy with some of his statements. They said there was one in your box above your dresser that matched it. We're talking about bullets here. He says, they showed me that picture too. I can't explain it, and I don't. So once more, his focus is on explaining it, not whether it happened or not, but how does he explain it? That's a red flag for me. She says, I can't either. They keep asking me and I don't know how to answer that. There's no way for me to know. He says, I understand, me either. And that's what I'm trying to tell them. So look, one of the things I've noticed is he is very good at creating unity with Kathy. So when she says things, he empathizes with them and says, I'm in the same boat as you. Now that can be a very caring concept, but from some of the other things I've seen here, is it also a manipulative tactic that I'm going to take what she says, I'm going to acknowledge it, and I'm going to reassure her on that. Do let me know in the comments what you think about that tactic that he's using. He says, you want to keep asking me and I just keep telling you I can't explain it. I don't know how to explain something that isn't possible. That is it. You know, you don't have to explain something that isn't possible. It's not possible. That's where you should be sitting, not worrying about how you explain it. But once more, he's not considering all the possibilities. He continues, but I know. This is what I do know. I know that no bullet from my gun was connected to a murder in any way, shape, or form. Once more, one of these really interesting paragraphs. No bullet from my gun was connected with a murder, not the murder. And it's not, I didn't do this murder. It's not, I'm not the murderer of these girls. It's just a murder, any old murder. But he does use the word murder again. It's the fourth time he's used it. Real big green flag for the guy there. But then he talks in this absolute again. In adding in any way, shape, or form doesn't change the meaning of that sentence. He is being persuasive now, or convincing now. He could have finished that. There's no way, no bullet from my gun was connected with a murder. But then he adds, in any way, shape, or form. He's trying to sell the story to Kathy here with persuasive words and convincing words. In any way, shape, or form. No bullet from my gun was connected with a murder. Again, we've got this thought that it's not, it's not, I didn't murder someone. It's the connection to the murder in there as well. And there's no way a bullet from my gun would have been near Abby and Libby's murder or anywhere else, because I never even seen those girls, period. And I didn't even have my gun that day. So he mentions the victims by name. He humanizes them. He could have kept it at this big, vague, murder. We'd have got a little bit closer if he called it the murder. He gets closer still when he refers to Abby and Libby's murder. He uses the word murder again, which we've spoken about, but also Abby and Libby's murder is humanizing them. It's not dehumanizing the victims, which is something, again, a lot of criminals will do. Dehumanize the victims, create all sorts of space, call them those girls, or not refer to them as people at all. But he humanizes them, calling them Abby and Libby there. Another green flag. But there's no way a bullet from my gun would have been near Abby and Libby's murder. And then he ruins it, or anywhere else. Well, look, you're talking in absolute terms again. There is absolutely ways that a bullet from your gun could be anywhere else. This is not true. You're selling a story and you're trying too hard to sell the story there. Because I never even seen those girls, period. And I didn't even have my gun that day. So now the order there is interesting, because it could be, and I would listen to him if he'd said, Look, there's no way a bullet from my gun could have been there. I didn't even have my gun with me that day. And if he jumped to that. But before he says he didn't have his gun with him that day, he says, I never even seen those girls, which is logically doesn't make sense there. I never even seen those girls. I didn't even have my gun with me that day. This is a sales job. This is him doing a selling job here, where he's mentioning all the benefits and features of the product that he's trying to sell. So the gun wouldn't have been near the murder or anywhere else. I never even seen those girls. I didn't even have my gun that day. It's like a tele ad where they just bombard you with messages after messages, trying to find the one thing there that will make you go, I'm going to buy this product. That's what this feels like. But he makes it sound logically as if he had seen the girls, then this would have been possible. Yeah? That's what it's there. There's no way the bullet from his gun could have been found near Abby and Libby's murder because I never even seen those girls. The logic there is if I had seen them, then there would be a way for that to happen. Interesting way of logic. He then sighs and he says, that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to make that any clearer. So he's still looking to get something back from her that's like, okay, hun, I believe you. That's what I'm trying to say. Try implies failure. And I think he realizes that he's not quite cutting through to her, which is why we've seen this sales language step up. He's gone from the very start saying, I know you don't believe this. And not getting the reassurance. You're right, I don't believe this. He's now trying to sell the story to her. He says, I don't know how to make that any clearer. I don't know how to make somebody understand. I get what he's saying. I don't have a way to explain it. So once more, I don't know how to make somebody understand. He's talking in these big general terms rather than asking her a question. What can I do to reassure you? He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to engage with her that way. He'd rather make statements and see if something comes back at any of those. And then I don't have a way to explain it. Once more, his focus is on explaining what has gone on rather than proving innocence and saying that is not me. So here in this section, more green flags from the guy. Because he talks about Abby and Libby, humanises the victims, and also continues to talk about the murder, and also that I don't know. I'm seeing green flags when he talks, but he is trying very hard to persuade her with a sales job that, and a bad sales job, because some of it doesn't make sense, that he was not involved in the murder of those girls. He's going to try another tactic soon, because we all know the Delphi murders, the victims are two young girls, Abby and Libby. Who is the victim in Richard Allen's mind? We will find out as we go back to him in the interview room. Listen, do you ever feel like you're not being told the full story? Well, you're right. That's happening to you all the time. Just like Kathy is not opening up to Richard here with what she thinks and she's starting to ask some questions to try and get somewhere. We're not hearing the full story from people around us in our lives. And I'm here to give you the key to seeing deeper, because I want you to hear the world with new ears. And I'm on a mission to share this with you and as many people as possible. So if you want to unlock that secret, subscribe to this channel or follow it. Join in the movement. Dive into the archives as well. There's more Delphi to look at. There are more police interviews and people in police stations to look at as well. A fascinating treasure trove of cases waiting to be explored. And do you know someone who needs this? Someone who would benefit from hearing the truth and really understanding what someone was saying to them? Then help this get out to more people. It can be as simple as just pressing that like button. That helps this get out to way more people. Or putting a comment underneath this. Or sharing it, recommending it to others. Just pass this on. Because every like, every single click something like this gets fuels the fire for never a truer word, because it allows me to dig deeper, to analyze further, to do more content and bring this life-changing skill to even more people. It's a tremendous gift to give people, so just one button press can make this go further. Let's go back to the police station. Richard Allen talking to his wife, Kathy.
And they're like, there's a witness that said it was you out there.
Dear, I don't
And
know
I'm
what...
like, how did they know it was you? And so they said they showed her a picture. And I'm like, of course you were out there.
If they seen me out there, they seen me out there, dear. And I told
Were you
them...
on the bridge?
I told them I was on the bridge. I went out to the first trestle.
Oh, okay.
That first
I
thing
don't
that...
remember you telling me that. You told me, so I told you you weren't on it. But I didn't.
It doesn't... hon, you're not in any trouble. You didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Tell him, right?
Huh?
I didn't know you were on it. I'm sorry.
Well, don't worry about it.
You told me you weren't.
Huh?
You told me you weren't, so I just was...
No, I told you that I walked. I love you, baby. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I know that that's not what I told you. And I love you. And it's just,
Wow, I think there's a real couple of moments in that for us to look at. Kathy says, there's a witness that said it was you out there. She's making a statement. She's not asking a question. He says, dear, I don't know. We don't get to find out what he doesn't know. And I'm like, how did they know it was you? And so they said they'd show me a picture. And I'm like, of course you were out there. And he says, if they see me out there, they see me out there, dear. And I told them, which is, again, slightly distant. It's not, well, I was out there, so someone would have seen me out there. I was walking there that day, so yeah, people would have seen me out there. And she says, but were you on the bridge? And he says, I told them I was on the bridge. I went out to the first trestle. So he doesn't quite answer the question. Kathy says, were you on the bridge? It's a yes or no question. Yes, I was. No, I wasn't. But he doesn't say yes or no. He says, I told them I was on the bridge. I went out to the first trestle. Sort of answers the question, but doesn't quite answer the question. Doesn't say, yeah, Kathy, I was on the bridge. She says, oh, okay. A very disappointed sounding, oh, okay. And he goes to talk and he says, the first thing that, and she interrupts and says, I don't remember you telling me that. Then there's something unclear. So I told them you weren't on it, but I didn't. And then he says, it doesn't, hun. You're not in any trouble. You didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. And then we have some weeping. It doesn't, hun. You're not in any trouble. She's not. She's not the one that's accused of murder. What sort of trouble would she be in? Is she worried about what he is going to say? Because as the conversation goes right now, she's told the police something that contradicts what he's said. He says, you're not in any trouble. Why does the concept of her being in trouble enter into his head? You didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Again, I didn't do anything. One of these big, broad, sweeping, general statements. It's not very specific at all. Kathy cries for a bit and says something, and he says, huh, to get some clarity. And she says, I didn't know you were on it. I'm sorry. So I didn't know you were on it, as I didn't know, which we've spoken about before. It's generally an honest thing. I'm sorry. She is apologizing for this. He says, well, don't worry about it, hun. So once more, he's in the reassurance phase. And she says, you told me you weren't. Now, that's quite a direct statement. You told me you weren't. There's nothing frivolous about that. There's nothing extra in there. There's nothing ambiguous about it at all. You told me you weren't. She's saying that with a certainty and with a sureness as well. You told me you weren't, i.e., you told me you weren't on the bridge. Not, you didn't tell me you were on the bridge, but you told me you weren't on the bridge. And he says, ha, question mark style, huh? Now, that's a question. Is that buying time? Because he's like, oh, crap, I've spent all my time trying to reassure her that I'm an honest guy, that I didn't do any of this. And now she's got questions about the veracity of my story because there's something going on here where I've told her I wasn't on the bridge, but I'm now saying I was on the bridge. How do I get out of this? I need some thinking time. So I'm going to go, huh? And ask a question, ask her to restate the question so that I've got that thinking time. You told me you weren't, so I just, and he says, no, I told you that I what? And he stops. He doesn't finish that phrase. He doesn't say, I told you that I walked on the bridge. He pulls out of that. We hate lying as people. Lying is really hard. And he doesn't finish. If this was a lie, if he has said to her before, I didn't walk on the bridge, and now he's saying, I told you I walked on the bridge, he stops short of saying that. He just says, no, I told you that I what? She says, okay. And then he says, I love you, baby. I think this is him trying another tactic to try and get something back from her. She says, I know you do. So it's not, I love you back too. It is, I know you do. I don't know what they're trying to do, but I know that's what I told you. I love you is what he says. So in that extract there, her telling of where he said he was, i.e. you told me you didn't go on the bridge, is more believable than the way he deals with what it was that he said to her. And I see more manipulative behaviour from Richard Allen here. He's trying all the tactics to try and get something back from her. I don't like what he's doing to her one bit. I think there is some dynamics in that relationship which are very interesting. Let's get some more from the guys.
They're not going to get away with this. This is exactly what I would never want for you, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm not going to say I did something I didn't do. I'm not.
Yeah.
And I know you know me, and I know you know that I would never do this. All I can say, hon, is you know me. I know, and I know you know me, and I know you. And what they're doing to you right now, I'm not okay with this at all. And they know it, but they're going to do what they're going to do. I'm just sorry you're having to hurt. I'm sorry I'm having to go through it. I mean, it's like I told them, the damage is already done. You've already talked to people I work with, you've talked to neighbors of mine, and I care about what people think. You know I care about what people think.
I know.
You'll notice in that the previous one where Kathy was saying about what he told her about walking on the bridge, she was very verbal. And this is right after that. And I think in her head, she thinks he's changed his story here. What is going on? I'm convinced he has changed his story. She says very little there. The rest of it, if I didn't like Richard Allen before, I'm not any bigger of a fan of his now. They're not going to get away with this, is how he starts that extract. Away with what? He doesn't say what this is. It's not, again, not very specific. They're not going to get away with fitting me up. This is exactly what I would never want for you, and there's nothing I can do about it. He's trying to make out his concern is her here. It would be perfectly natural. He is an innocent person in a police station being accused of one of the most horrific crimes in recent history, never mind one of the most horrific crimes locally, or that a person could be accused of. And it would be perfectly natural if his concern was himself. But no, he's trying to make out here that his concern is for her. It's not me they're doing the bad thing to. It's you, honey. This is exactly what I would never want for you, and there's nothing I can do about it. Now, also, this is not what I would want for you is vague again. What is it? Because I can read that two ways. This fit up by the police is what I would never want for you. This case of mistaken identity by the police is not what I would want for you. Or the situation I've got us in by doing what I did is not what I would ever want for you. He's not specific about this, but is his concern really her or is it himself? And I'm not going to say I did something I didn't do. I'm not. And you know me, and I know you know that I would never do this. He's gone back to tactic number one here, which is telling her what is in her mind. You know me, you know I would never do this. And I said Kathy is talking a lot less. There is a long, long pause after this, and she doesn't come back with any reassurance. Eventually it's him that breaks the silence. All I can say, hon, is you know me, and I know you know me, and I know you. We've got a lot of no's going on there, but none of this is saying, I didn't do this, here's why I'm innocent, here's the reasons why I'm innocent, or here's the steps we've got to take to try and prove my innocence. And what they're doing to you right now, I'm not okay with this at all. And they know it, but they're going to do what they're going to do. I'm just sorry you're having to hurt. I'm sorry I'm having to go through it. I'm just sorry you're having to hurt. Again, we've got this just, and I think it's a deceptive use of just. But once more, why? Why is she hurting? He doesn't say who's doing the hurt here. He's keeping himself one step removed from that. I'm just sorry you're having to hurt. These words could go with him feeling that he's being fitted up by the police. These words could go with he thinks it's all planted evidence, or these words could go with that she's going through this because of his actions. He's not specific about this at all, but this all comes after she doesn't engage with the I know you, you know me type speech. He just continues through all of this, and I think now saying how sorry he is and how much he feels like she's the victim in all of this and he's a victim in all of this, is just to try and get this reaction that he wants to get from her, which is, I don't believe you, I'm going to fight for you. I mean, it's like I told them, the damage is already done. You already talked to people I've worked with. You've talked to neighbours of mine, and I care about what people think. Now, the move is from the concern of her being a victim to him being the victim, because the damage is already done, because I'm the victim now, because you've talked to neighbours of mine, you've talked to people I've worked with, and I care what people think. So he's now trying to paint himself as a victim, because painting her as a victim hasn't got very much back, so he's trying another tactic. You know I care what people think. And she engages with this for the first time in this whole thing when he's told her what she knows. And I've said, what he wants when he does that, you know who I am, you know I haven't done this, you know, I know, you know, all those sort of convoluted things. She doesn't give anything back. When he talks about caring what people think, she gives him something back. You know I care what people think. She says, I know. It's the one she engages with. So if she engages with that one, why not the others? Because does she not agree with the others? Does she still have some doubt in her mind? Or does she have pure doubt in her mind? I think that is why. But she does know that he cares what people think. Most people do care what people think. So it's a really easy one for her to go, I know, so she does engage with that one. So here in this section, when he doesn't get engagement from sympathising with her, he moves on to, I'm the victim here, I'm the guy that's, you know, the damage has been done to. But she, and I think we get this from the fact she engaged with the last, you know, I care what people think, she is not sure at this point in this interview that he did not murder Abby and Libby.
Hell, I have enough trouble not trying to believe that people think. Half the time I just think they think what I'm thinking. You know what I'm talking about. I'm always worried about what Jory thinks, or...
I know.
And they're trying to, you know, talk about my anxiety and depression and shit, and, you know, I've tried to explain to them it's been going on for 7-8 years. Hell, I've had it my whole life. They want me to tell them that I did it, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to admit to something that I didn't do. How stupid is that? I don't care what they do to me. I'm not going to admit to doing something I had nothing to do with. And I'm not going to try to explain something I can't explain, because I don't know. You tell me, because I don't know. I just know that I never even carried the gun unless we were going mushroom hunting, tromping through the woods, or fishing along the river. That's the only time I even carried it for the most part. I never even would have, hell, I haven't carried my gun, and I don't even remember a time when I used to carry it. I mean, other than going fishing, like if we were going night fishing.
We've got him talking more absolutes there, but we'll deal with. Hell, half the time I have trouble with not trying to believe that people think. Half the time I just think they think what I'm thinking. Really jumbled up set of words. It's hard for me to read them out. Half the time I have trouble not trying to believe that people think. Half the time I just think they think what I'm thinking. You know what I'm talking about? Always worried about what... Now, he says something after that. Again, if you know what it is, please let me know in the comments, because I've got some possibilities. I'm always worried about what the jury thinks, or what Joy thinks, or what Geordie thinks. I don't know, but I'm always worried about what someone thinks, or something thinks, or... And she says, I know. So once more, she's engaging with this fact. So she's very happy to engage with the fact that he worries about what people think. And they're trying to, talk about my anxiety and shit. And, I've tried to explain to them that it's been going on for 7-8 years. I think he mentions depression in there as well. They're trying to talk about my anxiety and depression. And, I tried to explain to them that it's been going on for 7-8 years. Hell, I've had it my whole life. I wonder why they changed there. I'm really interested in why it's changed from the anxiety depression has been going on for 7 or 8 years, and also my whole life. The two things can't be true. I think that maybe potentially he's suffered from it his whole life, but it's only been diagnosed or he's acknowledged it in the past 7 to 8 years. Potentially the 7 to 8 years time frame means that it centers around the time of the murders, and he thinks, I don't want to draw that focus to anxiety and depression around then, so I'm going to pull it out and say I've had it my whole life. He's upped the stakes now with her, the emotional stakes that he's talking to her. He cares what people think. This is he's decided that it's time to go for how I feel, how I'm reacting to this. Talking about his life, talking about anxiety. He's really got the stakes much, much higher from ordering her to know what she knows. There is a long pause at the end of that as well. He leaves it a long time to get some sort of reaction, and he doesn't get much at all. They want them to tell me I did it, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to admit to something that I didn't do. How stupid is that? Again, we have this downplaying and distancing. They want me to tell them that I did it. I'm not going to. Now, those could, again, be the words of an innocent or a guilty person. There's nothing specific in there. I'm not going to. It's not, I didn't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to admit to something that I didn't do. How stupid is that? So once more, it's downplayed again to this something that I didn't do. Then he says, I don't care what they do to me. Which I think, again, is him trying to yank her chain a little bit with emotions. He's brought up anxiety and depression, and now he's saying, I don't care what they do to me, just to try and get something back there. I'm not going to admit to something. So we've got, once again, I'm not going to admit to the murder, would be way more specific, but I'm not going to admit to something I had nothing to do with. And that's interesting. Again, I had nothing to do with. Again, could be a phrase used if there was more than one person involved. Again, did you rob the bank? No, but I did drive the getaway car, so I had something to do with it. This is nothing to do with it. Again, I've got these words that suggest potentially he has knowledge that this was something that involved more than one person, more than one perpetrator. And I'm not going to explain something I can't explain because I don't know. You tell me, because I don't know. Once more, his logic set is not how do I prove my innocence? It's how do I explain this thing that, in his words, couldn't have happened. We then have another long pause. I just know I never even carried the gun unless we were going mushroom hunting, tromping around the woods or fishing on the river. That's the only time I even carried it for the most part. And he's doing his salesman job again here, and look how deceptive it is. I just know I never even carried the gun. Right. Never is another one of those words like just. It's a red flag for deception. When you hear it, doesn't mean you're being lied to, but check, because never is very often not as solid as it seems. And here he says, I never carried the gun, and then goes to talk about all the times that he carried the gun. Never even carried the gun unless, and then here's all the situations where this thing that never happened. Mushroom hunting, tromping around the woods or fishing on the river. And then again, he says an absolute. That's the only time I even carried it. So once again, we have these absolutes. That's the only time I even carried it. And then weakens it massively by saying, for the most part. So he's trying to get across that I don't use the gun, never carry the gun. And then he gives us all the times that he did carry a gun. And those are the only times, but they're not really, because he says, for the most part, wide open there to many more times that he could have carried a gun. But what he wants to get across is, I don't carry this gun around anywhere. Don't touch it. Nothing to do with me. It could not be anything to do with me. But the deception is strong there. The persuasion is strong there. Again, it feels like a bad salesman. I never even would have. Hell, I haven't carried my gun in, so we have the never again. I don't even remember a time when I used to carry it. That's not saying you didn't carry it. That's just saying you don't remember a time when I used to carry it. And then once again, we've got this never, and I don't even remember a time other than we're going fishing like we were going night fishing. This is all very confused and it is contradictory. But the only possibility considered by him again is that a bullet got there because he was carrying his gun that day. No other possibility is in his mind other than, how do I explain how that bullet got there on that day? So I said at the very start, Kathy believes that a bullet from his gun was there on that day. She believes what she's been told. I think he believes what he's been told as well. It's not that he wants to say this is impossible and I'm innocent, did not do this. It's that all he wants to do is explain how this bullet got there. So here in that section, he realizes that she's not certain. He does realize that she's not sure. He has tried all sorts of tricks to get out from her reassurance that she believes him, that she is on his side. And yet he realizes now, this is not coming for me. So he works very hard to convince her and persuade her using that deception and emotional manipulation tactics. Let's get one more piece from Richard Allen and Kathy talking in this police station.
But how could the bullet get out there, honey? I can't understand that.
I told you, I can't either, hon. There's two explanations. One is, the bullet didn't come from my gun.
It did though, honey. They've got ballistics on it.
I get that. Then it didn't come from a murder scene. I don't know what else to say. I get that. I get what they're saying. What I'm telling you is, if that bullet came from my gun, there's no way it was found with their investigation for the murders. There's no way. I can't explain something I have no answer for. They want you to think that I done it. That's what this is all about. They want you to come in here and make me believe that you think I did it, and I know you don't. You know me too well. You know I'd never do something like this, or even be involved with something like this. So they're probably going to come and take you away from me and go at me again. So just tell them you want an attorney and they'll have to let you leave. Don't worry about me. I'm trying to, I don't know what they're doing.
And those are the last words that Richard Allen spoke to Kathy in that police interview room. And as I said before, she's really not sure. And she is being there now for 10 minutes talking to him. And she says, but how did a bullet get there, honey? I can't understand that. And I told you, I can't either, hun. There's two explanations. One is the bullet didn't come from my gun. And she's very, very direct with him. And she said, it did though, honey. They've got ballistics on it. So she does believe, at this point, it's a bullet from his gun that was found at the murder scene. He says, I get that. But then it didn't come from a murder scene. I don't know what else to say. So he's starting to build something here that is a bit of an explanation. But again, it didn't come from a murder scene. Not it didn't come from the murder scene, or it didn't come from where those girls were murdered. That would be much more specific. It's general again. It didn't come from a murder scene. But we do have the word murder in there once more. He's not shying away from that word. I get that. I get what they're saying, he says. What I'm telling you is, if that bullet came from my gun, there's no way it was found with their investigation for the murders. There's no way. Mention of murders again. I can't explain something I have no answer for. So once more, his focus is on trying to explain how this happened. So in my head, Kathy certainly thinks that the bullet was found there. In his head as well, he thinks that as well, because he's trying to explain why it was felt there. We have another one of those long pauses where I think he's waiting to hear something from her that will reassure him. They want you to think that I'd done it. That's what this is all about. Well, is it? Is it about the effect on her, or are they trying to find the murder of Abby and Libby? Or even are they trying to frame him for it? But no, he again is doing this. I'm showing sympathy for you, but really I want to get what you think. I need the reassurance here. I really need something to feed off from you. That's what this is all about. They want you to come in here and make me believe that you think I did it, and I know you don't. So we have this manipulation there again, but you think that I did it. Do I need to point out at this point he is not being specific again? And I know you don't. You know me too well. So he's back to the same statements that he was making there about what she knows, and she is not responding to this again. She responded very well to the, you know, I care what people think about me, but she is not responding there. You know me too well. Another long pause. You know I'd never do something like this, he says, or even be involved in something like this. Once more, we have this feeling that someone else could have been there and that there was more than one person, therefore he would be involved in something like this. Just think, if your neighbour's window was smashed and someone said to you, did you do it? Would you say, no, I didn't do it? Or would you say, I wouldn't be involved in something like that? That really, those word choices are really interesting. So they're probably going to come and take you away from me and go at me again. I think they're trying to build the victim status, make her feel sorry for him. So just tell them you have an attorney and they'll have to let you leave. Don't worry about me. I don't know what they're doing. And that is where he leaves it. The police come back in and Kathy is taken out. So here in that last part, and I think he knows the time is running short, his focus is where it has always been. Does Kathy believe him? And at that point in that police interview, I don't think that she does. So what do I spot there in that whole conversation, which is great? I've never seen anything like that before. It is really fascinating. And just to look at the words that they use, there are some reassuring factors in what Richard Allen says. He doesn't downplay murder. He does take it on fully. He names the victims and humanizes them. And when he says, I don't know how the bullet got there, I spot some truth in the guy's words there. But really, his priority is not proving his innocence or anything like that. His priority in that conversation is wanting to know if she believes that he did not do this. Probably so he knows he has an ally there. Richard Allen there shows to me he is incredibly manipulative, and he keeps trying to see which level of manipulation will work. He will keep poking at things until he gets something back. He's telling her what she knows and that doesn't work. So then he shows care for her and that doesn't work. So then he plays the victim and that doesn't work. He ups the stakes to talk about anxiety and depression, but she doesn't believe him at that moment in time. Now, the big question is, did he do it? Do I get anything from the words there around his guilt or not? And I think looking at that, more likely than not that he did do something. His logic is off. His focus is on the wrong things. He's got this very binary thought process of explaining it. And he's trying too hard about the gun when he says, I've never even carried my gun. Lying about what he told her. I believe Kathy knows that he told her he wasn't on the bridge. There's too much there to make me think these are the words of an innocent man. However, the reassuring things do give me some questions about that. You know, I would not be able to say, well, my God, I just hear that and try and convict the person. There are some question marks I have over the reassuring green flags that I pointed out there. But the big thing for me, once more in Richard Allen's words, are this thought that involvement, that there may have been more than one person involved in this. Maybe even he was on the periphery of something, knew about it, but feels like he's only part of the story that is to be told, because that is what I see when I look at what he speaks, when I look about how he speaks time and time again. What are your thoughts on the words that Richard Allen used there? Do let me know in the comments if you can on this platform, or you can get in touch on social media. You can find all the social media links at neveratruerword.com. Also there you can find a whole load more videos, including more on the Delphi case and podcast too. And sign up for the monthly newsletter where you'll get a deep insight into the ways that people use words to tell the truth, but mostly how people use words to manipulate us. You'll find that all at neveratruerword.com. And we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.